We've seen something happen here in Flower Mound time and time again when somebody's going to buy a new home. Now, these are people that are qualified, they're motivated, have the finances pulled together. However, they get a piece of advice that sounds good. However, it causes them to miss out on their perfect house.
That's right. There are three common traps that we're seeing right now that a lot of home buyers are falling into, and we want you to avoid these if at all possible. We're going to walk you through these three common traps so that you know how to spot them, and you also know how to get around them so that you can make smart decisions and not lose out on the right home that's for you.
So let's dive into this. So, trap number one is, should I wait for the perfect house?
Oh my gosh, the trap of perfection. This literally hits home for us. So I'd like to share our story with you. When we were looking for the house that we're in now, we kind of had our list of the top things that we must have, the non-negotiables, but then those things that would be nice to have. And our daughter was already in Flower Mound High School boundaries. So we were looking for a house within the high school boundaries over there and that's fit into a certain price point. And what we really, really needed, a non-negotiable, was for the primary bedroom to be downstairs and for a guest bedroom and bathroom to be downstairs because our daughter did not want to be upstairs anymore by herself. So those we knew were non-negotiables. Well, it's funny because, at the time we were looking, there was tight inventory, hardly anything on the market. We had been sending out letters, postcards, everything we could to the neighborhoods and areas that we thought we wanted to buy in until we decided to just look a little bit higher above our price point. And we found a house that had been sitting on the market. It was overpriced and it wasn't within Flower Mound High School boundaries. But we thought, you know what? Let's just go take a look. Let's go drive by. You remember that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you were against it. You said you were very against it. We drove into the neighborhood and we both went, wow, we really like this neighborhood. Drove by the house. And unfortunately, the landscape had been grown up. You could barely even see the house, but we loved the neighborhood. And with a little bit of promotion pushing, I said, let's just go look on the inside. And he agreed to. So we did. We walk in and it was very much unlike our previous experience. Previous home we walked into, and as soon as we walked into the entryway, we said, wow, this is it. We walked into this home and we said, I don't know about this. He was not sold at all, right? You were looking at, it needed updating. It needed the paint. You didn't like the paint. It had some really heavy, older drapes. The furniture in it was not our style. And he was having a really hard time looking past all that. But I said, you know what? It has the things that we're looking for. Mainly, it was the primary bedroom was downstairs. It had a secondary bedroom downstairs. It had the pool. And we said, you know what? Let's do a little research. We found out our daughter could stay in Flower Mound High School. We just needed to file some paperwork to transfer her over. No big deal. So we put an offer in and where we felt like the market was. And with a little bit of negotiation, we finally got them down to where we felt like the market was. And what's awesome is this home was being overlooked because it was overpriced and it needed some updates, but nothing major. Everything else was great about it. And we've taken the time to update the landscaping, do some paint, do some flooring, and we absolutely love this home. We made it perfect for us.
As long as the house fits your family's needs, structurally and all that, location wise, because those are things you can't, as you can't change. The paint and carpet, okay, yeah, that's not a problem. That can easily be changed. So those are some hidden gems right now that we're seeing in the market right now that are being overlooked by the buyers.
Right. And what we're seeing right now, unfortunately, is a lot of home buyers are saying we can't see past the paint, we can't see past the flooring, and they're just passing up on these homes, which could very well be where you're finding these great deals right now if you're willing to just do a little bit of work. Now, for those of you that say, no way, I'm not doing that. I want that unicorn, that perfect home. Just know that probably everybody else is looking for that same home. which potentially is going to, when it does hit the market, it's going to draw those multiple offers still. We're still seeing that.
We're still seeing that. In fact, we had a client that the perfect home came up for them, and guess what? They had to compete against 8 other offers, and it went way above their asking price. Now, so that's just, the homes that are ready to go, those are flying off the shelf. But there are some hidden gems out there that need a little bit of work, but you're going to be really reaping the rewards on the deal.
So this brings us into, if you don't know what your main non-negotiables are, it's really easy to miss out on the right home. So what we offer people is a discovery call, just to have a quick conversation, maybe 15, 20 minutes, to find out, like, get clarity on, if you want to make a move, why is it you're making that move? What is it you're looking for? Because that way, when it comes up, you're really clear on, hey, that's the right house for me. Because I think that's why so many times people miss out. So we would love to have just a free discovery call with you. Just click on the link below.
So this leads us to trap number 2. Should I wait for the economy to be more stable? Well, here's the thing. That sounds very logical for sure, in our logical minds. However, this is where we see people, unfortunately, they miss out. The economy is always doing something. It's always moving. It's a very dynamic, moving target, because, the interest rates are always, either going up or down. Prices are, going up and down to a certain extent, or inflation. The thing of it is that whenever somebody decides to, kind of hold out, then that's when they're missing out. And, here's the thing, like, I was visiting with a gentleman the other day that he was looking at buying a home pre-COVID. He thought, well, I'm not really for sure because I'm hearing a lot of negative stuff in the news. Well, he decided to hold out. Well, unfortunately, he did, and now he's regretting that decision because, as we all know, the prices went up and they were able to get a lot better interest rate back then versus now. And so there's, a lot of regret with that. He missed out on the type of property he really wanted to be able to buy back then, and now it's going to cost him a lot more.
Well, what's interesting about that is, we see this a lot. People read snippets in the headlines, or they listen to, their uncle's brother's cousin or neighbor of telling them, oh my gosh, you should not move right now. Like, have you heard, like, it's crazy economy. Like, we don't know what's going to happen. It could crash. It could do this, it could do that. The problem is they said all those things for COVID, right? Remember, so clearly they said, oh, it's the housing market is going to crash. It did the opposite. It went straight up. And so many people that said, we're just going to hold off, we're just going to sit on the sidelines and wait a few years to see what's going to happen, they missed out on some great opportunities. And it's not the only time. We've even seen it in the Great Recession, actually, when, they say, oh, well, gosh, it was like the worst time we've ever seen in our history. But in Flower Mound, the home prices only dipped about, 3 to 6%. Only over about 3 or 4 years. We went and looked at the actual numbers. We were back up within 4 years. So you have to look at the numbers.
You have to look at the numbers and not just a snapshot of what's going on today. Because when it comes to purchasing a home, it's a long-term investment. It's not just a quick way to make money. The thing is, you really have to be wise who you're listening to, because the thing of it is that, there's so many pundits on social media or even in the news that are touting all this negative stuff. Well, you have to look at, they get paid to, sell the negative headlines to get the ratings. So that, and they're generally looking at just a snapshot. They're not showing the overall projections.
Right, because if you look at the graphs, I even pulled it up. If you look at home pricing, every month it looks like a heart rate monitor. So do the interest rates. So does, the Dow Jones. If you look at just a snapshot, each month it could be going up and down. But if you look at the 12-month and, throughout the history, it continues to steadily increase. And so it's so important to look at the actual numbers instead of just taking sound bites from other people or other sources. Really go back and look at your specific situation, the market in your area.
That leads to trap number 3. I should wait for the interest rates to come down. I hear that consistently all the time. Now, that definitely sounds very logical and reasonable. However, the fact of the matter is, if somebody's waiting on the sidelines to wait for those interest rates to come down, there's a lot of other people are doing the exact same thing. Now, when that happens, then guess what? When the interest rate comes down, all the buyers are starting to come out. Now you're competing against all the other buyers that are pushing the pricing up. So it's going to cost you more for that same house, even though you're getting a lower interest rate, but it's going to cost you more in the long run versus going ahead and buying now, lock your price in. Then when the interest rates do drop, then you could potentially go ahead and refinance to get that lower interest rate.
Right. And that's exactly what one really smart family did that we recently helped.
Yeah, because we helped them back in January of 24. And this guy was very intelligent, CPA for a major firm here in the area. And he was like, hey, I know right now, basically he had a window of opportunity because interest rates had jumped up. But he goes, I know I can lock in my price, refinance later, because the thing is his family was growing. And the kids were getting bigger, they needed more space, and plus they had changed schools, doing the sports in a different town where the school is. Their friends were there, so they're spending a lot of time on the road that didn't need to be done. So they were able to find this one neighborhood that they really liked, to key in on it. This one house came on the market that really fit their needs. Plus, it had a green space, in the back, where they had, beautiful scenery back there, not looking at another house, which was very important to them. And they made that decision, and now they're reaping the rewards of that, of really building some more family time together and being close to their friends and just knowing they've locked in a great price on the home.
Right, because not only are they able to enjoy that family time in a beautiful home that they love, but the appreciation rate has continued to go up. That same house is worth more money now. So mortgage rates have always fluctuated over history, and so when people try to time it just right between the perfect mortgage rate, the perfect house at the perfect price, it's like a moving target.
Yeah, it's a non-existent unicorn that somebody's trying to chase, for sure.
So when people say, I want to wait for the right interest rate, what is that interest rate? Because it's this kind of airy-fairy, what is that number? Because again, trying to time everything just right, it just doesn't happen.
Right. So which leads us to this. You cannot time the market perfectly. There's not a graph to be able to show, hey, you need to purchase a property at X time. It really just depends on what your family's needs are. And that is the leading indicator of, when you make your move.
Right. Because I would say the only time that you would not want to move is if maybe it's just a move that you want to make, but you don't have to make. And you would have to potentially bring money to the table to sell your house, which most people are not in that situation.
Exactly, because right now studies are showing the average homeowner in the U.S. has over $300,000 of equity in their home because of COVID and a bunch of other stuff. So people are sitting on a lot of equity right now. So fortunately, we're not looking at that issue.
So if you're considering making a move, the best way to avoid these traps is to get the right factual information and not just listen to these snippets from, your neighbor or your coworker or just whatever the media is saying. What's best is to go find factual information that has to deal with your home, the area that you're in, and your specific, financial situation, everything around what you're doing, and then how that fits into the market.
That's why we offer a free discovery call. It's only a 20-minute call, and that way we can review what your current situation is, figure out what your goals are, and then create that game plan to be able to help you meet your needs and the timeline that you're looking for.
We found that when people have the right information, then you can make smart decisions and protect your time, your money, and your energy and have peace of mind.
And if you're thinking about buying and selling at the same time, make sure you stay tuned and watch our next video. Can I really buy and sell at the same time here in Flower Mound without stress?
We'll walk you through the entire thing. That way you can buy with confidence, not chaos.